It almost felt like there was like a pack of wolves that was trying to intimidate me, and I had to sort of show my teeth and my tongue as well so that they would...
Giving into the fear is like showing you're afraid to angry dogs. They smell that shit and will come after you even more.
These things mob you like badly trained Rottweilers. They come bounding forward.
This video is for 3 different kinds of people. The first kind is the kind of person who has had an experience with maybe an intelligence on a psychedelic drug, and they want to hear if maybe my experiences kind of be similar to yours as confirmation maybe. The second kind is the kind of person who might be interested in an experience like that but hasn't had one yet, and maybe interested in how to do that. The third kind is everyone else. So like, share, and subscribe. To begin with, I have had a good number of psychedelic experiences. Some of the experiences have been what I would call supernatural or paranormal, or, consisting of things outside of the world that we understand. There will be a series of videos like this too, of different kinds of experiences with different kinds of hallucinogenics and experiences without hallucinogenics. For the first video, I'm going to do it on DMT entities, and the reason I'm doing that is largely it's because they're easiest to access, and because the experiences will be over in 10 minutes unless you want to dive back in and experience another 10 minutes. Some will say the experience on some of the other hallucinogenics is a little bit too long.
You could get yourself in some really bad places with psychedelics, which is why...
Because they last like hours and hours.
It's a big commitment, especially if you're going to have an experience that's other dimensional. A few hours might be quite a long time for something like that. And I'll also give a little bit of a background too on my initial couple of DMT experiences, which is also pertinent to the story. When I was younger, I had taken DMT one time. I didn't even know that's what I was taking, but the moment I hit the bowl, I'm flooded with the geometry you see in a lot of DMT art, and the sound, and the only thing that I can find that would make a sound like this is a cicada. So these are different kind of cicada sounds that I'm going to use in this video to sort of give you the feel of what it's like to have an experience like this. So at any rate, I hit the bowl, was immediately loud sound and visuals similar to this. I was able to like kind of shake my head and then see the room again, and then immediately eyes open. All in all, it wasn't a very pleasant experience, largely because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. The second time, I kind of knew that this was going to be an intense experience, and the moment I hit it, I left the balcony from where I was, and then I was passing the Bank of America building. And, maybe because I'm afraid of heights or for whatever reason, but I just fought that and then sort of stayed in my body, but it's very uncomfortable to fight something like that. So that wasn't very pleasurable. And then another time that I smoked it, it was just, I don't know, it was very, it's almost like an adrenaline rush. I mean, I guess a lot of people say that it does feel like you're scared of something, like scared of dying if you're not really comfortable with the idea of letting go, and I wasn't at the time. So fast forward to 10 years later.
10 years later.
I didn't smoke it at all in that 10 years. And then I had gotten a hold of some DMT cartridges. And I know that it sounds like I'm getting on a tangent here, but this is all pertinent to the story. So a friend of mine and his wife or girlfriend kept telling me how awesome it was, how he just loved smoking. He smoked it like every day. So he would tell me experiences and about the walls looking like Tetris pieces or like a video game and stuff like that. And then his wife, or they weren't married, was saying that she saw 2 recent friends of ours that passed, and they were making a face like this, like I guess she said they were maybe like playing a trick on her or something. Like, I don't know why they were making that face. So I did find that interesting, what she was telling me, but as far as his experience, it wasn't quite as interesting in the sense that I already know what it's like to see patterns move and the walls breathe and all this other stuff. To me, I'm more interested in what you see. Maybe did you enter another dimension? Did you enter another space? Did it look totally different than what you're experiencing now, not just a blurry, wavy version of what you're looking at right now? So fast forward a couple of weeks later.
2 weeks later.
I mean, after hearing this story from them, and someone was over at the house and we were drinking some beers, and then he brought up DMT, and I said, you know what, fuck it, let's just hit this pen. And for some reason, I don't know why, I was able to not get as scared after hitting the pen as I had in the past. So I hit the pen, immediately hear that same kind of cicada sound, and then boom, I'm looking at the geometry, but I'm able to sort of stare at it for longer as opposed to try to fight against it. I was just sort of really in awe, just inspecting the space that I was. It was very clear, or not clear as moving, but There's definitely something going on though. As I'm noticing the pattern, I'm seeing that some pieces of the pattern are kind of moving toward me. And I guess initially I thought it was kind of camouflaged in the pattern, but it's probably just so much busy stuff going on that with the entities or with the figures that were coming my way and with the background that it did appear like they were kind of camouflaged together. But I guess, it's just a lot to take in. One of the entities moved right here, and I kind of said aloud to my friend with my eyes closed, whoa, there's something next to me. And then in my mind to the entity, I said, touch me. When I said that, I started feeling sort of like pulsing right here, and where I guess you would call the crown chakra. And I'm just going to assume that it didn't touch me there. It's just, I'll get into these energy vortices later in this channel. I'm not really a specialist on chakras or anything like that, but I do know that whenever you're having a bizarre, otherworldly, paranormal experience, there are certain areas of your body that do feel a lot of energy and vibration. And it just happens to be where some of these chakras are. I think my friend and I probably, hit it one more time. And then, again, it's like you're going right back to the same space or a similar space. He left not long after that, and I continued to smoke the pen, meaning that when you smoke it, you're in there for 10 minutes. I might step outside and hit a J or something and then come back in and dive back in. For a couple of hours, I was doing that. And within that couple of hours, I kept experiencing the same thing, the same entities. They're just there. I started noticing they were being like sort of intimidating, or for some reason I was supposed to feel intimidated. I felt like they were going like this, like kind of, trying to be scary, like that, And actually in researching this video, a lot of people have had that experience. So I started doing it back because it almost felt like there was like a pack of wolves that was trying to intimidate me, and I had to sort of show my teeth and my tongue as well so that they would, I don't know.
And into the fear is like showing you're afraid to angry dogs. They smell that shit and will come after you even more.
These things mob you like badly trained Rottweilers. They come bounding forward.
And actually, they became more welcoming when I was doing that. After I smoked the pen for a couple of hours, I then realized, like, whoa, that face is actually pretty similar to the one that Tiffany was describing in the story of seeing the two guys that we know that just passed the year before. So I was texting Chris and Tiffany, texting him saying, wow, I did try the pen and you were right. It was actually really good. And texting her saying, I think you're really onto something with what you saw. I think that if we did that together, I could show you some entities. Seems a bold claim, but I have at this point had a lot of experience with psychedelics and with even entities themselves. And I don't know, maybe you guys in the comments can give me your thoughts, but sometimes some people have a predisposition to have those kind of experiences, and some people might call it, they might be prone to psychosis. Sure, we'll go with that, but I'll get to something about that at the end. But for now, let's just, for the sake of this video, let's just continue on. Like, again, maybe it's their life experiences, their IQ level, their blood type. I'm not really sure if it's physiological or psychological that makes it more possible for some people to see things like this than others. Not to mention when she made that face, and that was the exact faces that I was experiencing, compared to what he was saying of the two of them, that she was going to be able to see more what I was talking about than he. And a couple of weeks later, as promised,
2 weeks later,
she came by, hanging out. I think we were smoking a joint or something, and then I was like, oh damn, we should try that pen out. And that we sat down, opposite each other, and I just basically told her to hit the pen and then close her eyes, not just try to focus on anything around, and just kind of let it just be, like, let whatever it is just reveal itself to you. You probably see some geometry or something, just focus in on that. I hit the pen, I'm just laying there, and obviously I'm seeing the same thing that I see every freaking time I hit the pen now in this later version of my life. And then Tiffany not yells, but loudly says, oh my God, they're everywhere. They're creating our reality. I knew in that instant that she did see what I was talking about. The reason why I knew that is because it does feel that way. It's almost like our reality is like we're looking at the screen, and I'm going to try to make this short, but your eyes are receiving light bouncing off of different particles, sending information through your ocular nerve. Synapses are firing, and your consciousness, you are creating sort of an image based off of all the information you're able to receive from your senses. And that becomes like this, almost like an IMAX sort of virtual reality helmet on your consciousness. I'm going to call that a TV screen for now. And so imagine you realize that what you're looking at is a TV screen. And if you look behind the TV, it becomes flat. And then if you were to take it apart, especially an old one, it looks totally different than what the screen does. And the screen is what you're experiencing. So imagine when you pull that back, there are entities back there. you would think that they are creating a reality in some sense, and maybe they are. I'm not really sure how that works. But if there is some sort of hologram reality, this is sort of the way it works. You can almost imagine it like if you were getting interrogated by the FBI in a movie, and then they had that mirror where there was people sitting behind there, and you could only see what was on the mirror there. If you understood and could see through that, it's sort of that feeling. There's also the instant understanding that what you're seeing didn't just pop up when you saw it, and it probably is old or ancient. There's also almost instantly, and maybe with a little bit of reflection, you can start to see some comparison between these sorts of things and Mayan or Incan gods, or even Hindu or Buddhist gods, and even the structure that they're sitting in.
On art, like Buddhas and shit like that, like this kind of shit. Because I saw this. I saw this image, this exact image.
In that, a lot of the art, it looks sort of the same sort of geometry that you see when you're seeing entities that look very similar to that. But going back to these other ones, I'm pretty sure that she was seeing the ones that put your tongue out too, the same one. That's what I was seeing in the moment. I'm just assuming that's what she was seeing. And at this point, I had opened my eyes and I could still see it. It's almost like a double exposure, those entities and this world at the same time. So there's Tiffany, there's entities everywhere. And then, so we went outside, talked about it, smoked a J, went back in, dove back in. 3 or 4 times did we do this, and every time I'm seeing it. I don't know that she was, but the way that she made it sound is what was that she was seeing something pretty similar, and I'm sure I haven't showed her any of this art. I didn't even know this kind of art existed, the stuff that I'm putting in this video. But if I showed it to her, I'm sure that she would say, yes, it's very similar to what I saw. But maybe because of the fact that I get it, you're going to say I'm suggesting that. Fair enough, but I didn't make this art, and I don't think that the art is done any suggestion on me. I look for very specific pieces of art to put in these videos. Though they weren't created by me, they were created by someone who probably experienced something similar to what I experienced. And as Joe Rogan pointed out here...
Tell me that didn't influence the Egyptians.
What, this painting or the...
No, that these kind of tryptamine
well, did they have that,
images.
Did they have DMT?
100%.
Even modern art, where people were claiming to have very similar experiences, and I do realize the argument that maybe they're seeing each other's experiences online and having experiences based on that, but really, unless you've experienced it for yourself, you're just guessing. Because once you see it, you'll see that people like Alex Gray, however popular they may be, haven't even started doing this place justice.
Wow, that is hardcore DMT.
Hardcore DMT. When you do DMT, you see that, and you see that in a way where it's so much more spectacular than anything you ever see under normal consciousness.
It's like, this looks like kid drawing compared to what you see inside those places. Which brings me to my final point. It has been said that we all have our own version of the truth, and to a degree we all do. We all have our own perspective on the truth, and we all believe that our perspective is the truth. However, there is a truth, like for instance, whoever shot JFK, I don't know who that is, but there is a truth about who shot him, and some people know that truth. The same thing when it comes to stuff like this. So either the truth is these things exist and the things that people are experiencing aren't just coincidentally similar and they're not projected by the mind, as some would say, or they don't. I know why I believe. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.
I do not personally believe that autonomous entities are anything more than the profound but ultimately hallucinated products of the subconscious mind.
I mean, it definitely could be some sort of an insane hijacking of your sensory nervous system, and it produces this spectacular psychedelic effect that's so profound, this hallucinogenic effect that's so profound that it literally is like a transcendent experience and changes your life. It's totally possible.
Like that to me.
It's totally possible that it's just a chemical thing. What's also possible is that life itself, that whatever the fuck life is, and especially whatever the fuck intelligent life is not understood. What consciousness is not understood. And this idea that things can only exist in this realm, that's not proven. Also the fact that when those quantum physicist guys start breaking down the nature of reality and they come up with, I don't know how the fuck they do this, I'm just talking out of my ass, but they come up with the idea that there's 11 dimensions.
We believe, though we cannot yet prove, that our multiverse of universes is 11-dimensional.
It is entirely possible that there's a bunch of other shit that's around us all the time that's just not here, and we don't have access to it, and when you do DMT, you go into that other place.
That's what's so fucking unsettling, dude. It's like, it's not like you're going, it's like the shit's here.
The real danger, I think, or the real risk is that everything you thought was true, everything you thought you knew about reality is about to be obliterated. You're going to come back and realize that you knew fucking nothing, that everything you thought real or not real or possible or impossible. It's gone. It's gone. And there's no coming back from that. So you will be fundamentally changed